It's Amanda, and it's time for our live Bible study. We're a little bit later this morning, but hey, we're here and we're ready to hit the Bible and hit it hard with some truth. And we're still in 2 Kings 4. There's actually like a ton of great Bible stories and references in 2 Kings 4 that are relevant to our Bible study. So we're actually going to be in 2 Kings 4 today and, Lord willing, on Friday. So I'm very excited about it. Because I think the Lord's really showing us some good stuff, and I'm looking forward to what we're going to talk about today. But as always, when we get started with the Bible study, I'm going to share the link for this Bible study on the Fundamental Faith page and the Fundamental homepage on Facebook, just to let everybody know that we're here. You can subscribe here on YouTube. Hey, I see you popping in. But YouTube doesn't always do a great job of notifying people when we're live, so I always share the link on our Fundamental Faith group and also on the Fundamental homepage on Facebook, because they do a much better job of giving you that notification very quickly. So if you want to be notified, subscribe and follow those pages, whatever they are, on Facebook and on YouTube. And let me turn this off. And then you will be able to be notified. And because of that, I'm going to share the link really fast so people know that we're here. So while I do that, I see you guys popping in and saying good morning, good morning. If you would share any prayer requests you have, I usually do this for the first couple of minutes. And then once I get the prayer requests, I will pray to get started, and then we'll head right into our Bible study. So let me go ahead and get the link here, and I'm going to share it. Going straight to the Fundamental Faith. And I always share there first for whatever reason. And I just say, come join us for our live Bible study. And let me just copy that so I can share it elsewhere. There we go. And I'm also going to jump on over to the Fundamental homepage and share it there as well. And then I'll be back here and I'll be writing down your prayer requests. I see you guys are sharing some, and that is a good thing. So let me just share this really fast. And hopefully that went through. I have to double check it, make sure I clicked the right button. Don't know if I did. I did not. Okay, here we go. That's why I always double check. And perfect. Okay, so that is taken care of. And let me get your prayer requests. And I see lots of good mornings. Everybody's coming joining us. Lisa says, pray, I've applied for disability. I'm believing I'll be approved. Unspoken prayer request as well. I'm praying for us as well. So. Let's see. Christy also has some unspokens. Carrie says she has a water therapy appointment today. Pray for that. And she also has someone that's difficult in her life, and pray for that person's heart. So we'll pray for them. Okay. And we have a couple minutes, and while we wait for that, I'm just going to share, I'm still on 40 days of prayer. Rick and I are praying and asking the Lord for some big things and some wisdom. And we just are asking if you guys would pray along with us, that the Lord would work in that circumstance and help us to have some wisdom and just give us a clear answer. And also I have a special request as well. My friend Amber, who is often on here, she put out a special prayer request this morning. Her dad was diagnosed with leukemia. There we go. Her dad was diagnosed with leukemia, and she was found to be a match for a bone marrow transplant. And so it's a miracle, and they're praising the Lord that she was even a match, and that's going to work out. But there's a lot of other things that need to happen with that, and she really wants her dad to be healthy. And so if you would just pray for Amber and her dad, his name is Henry, and that the Lord would work in that situation. And we're just praising the Lord that she was a match. So He can do amazing things. So There we go. All right. Now we just have another second or so. If you guys have any other last minute prayer requests, let me know. And Goalie, I see put something, but I don't have the full of it, so I want to make sure you have a second to be able to write your actual request. So go ahead and finish that, and there we go. She said, pray for my friend's daughter, Krista. She has a debilitating disease. So. Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and open in a word of prayer, and then we'll get started, okay? Let's pray. Lord, thank you so much for bringing us together this morning. In spite of all the distractions and all the different things that are going on, I just pray that you would keep our minds focused on you and help us to just have our attention focused solely on you and your word this morning, as I think that you have something to share with us. Lord, because of that, we have these prayer requests that are burdens on our hearts, and sometimes they can be distracting for us. And I just pray that you would work in all of these circumstances and take care of them, so that we can just trust in you to handle them, and we don't have to think about them. I pray for Lisa's disability that she's trying to get. I pray that you would help her to be able to take care of her family and provide for her needs and work in this situation. I pray for Carrie, Lord. She's got water therapy. Pray that that would go well. And also this difficult person that she's dealing with in her life, I pray you'd work in their heart so that they could work this situation out. I pray for Krista, who has this disease, that you would help her to be healthy and just live whatever she can in the best way possible. Lord, I pray you encourage and bless her. I also pray for Amber and her dad, Henry, Lord. I pray that you would work in this situation and give them both excellent health and just work a miracle there. You've already worked a miracle in making Amber imagine. We're just so very thankful for that. And I pray that you would continue to work there and show yourself mighty in their lives and the lives of the people who are around them. I pray for the unspokens, Lord, Lisa, Christy, also our 40 days, Lord. I pray that you would just work in all of those circumstances. You know the needs there, and all of the other unspokens that perhaps weren't mentioned. And again, Lord, I just pray for the Bible study. Pray that you'd give me exactly the words that you would have me say, and give us wisdom in how we can deal with food in our lives, Lord. We thank you and we love you in Christ's name. Amen. Okay. I see a couple other prayer requests popped up, so let me just mention those. Suzanne says, pray that my husband is led to True Bible Teaching Church for us this Sunday. Okay. And Jeannie said an optical appointment with her third child. Pray for good roads. It's only -2 today. Oh, my soul. And Arbor State's here. Yay. All right. So we are in second. And Mama hey, everybody's here. The gang's all here. All right. So 2 Kings chapter 4 is where we are. And we're getting towards the end of the book. But there's still going to be another section that we do, Lord willing, on Friday. So we're in verse 38. And we have Elijah. He's moving, right? It says, and Elijah came again to Gilgal. And there was a dearth in the land. So there was, it wasn't quite a famine, but a dearth. There was some lacking. And the sons of the prophets were sitting before him, and he said unto his servant, set on the great pot and seethe pottage for the sons of the prophets. And one went out to the field to gather herbs, and found a wild vine, and gathered there of wild gourds his lap full, and came and shred them into the pot of pottage, for they knew them not. So they poured out for the men to eat, and it came to pass as they were eating the pottage that they cried out and said, O thou man of God, there's death in the pot, and they couldn't eat thereof. But he said, then bring meal, and he cast it into the pot, and he said, pour out for the people that they may eat, and there was no harm in the pot. Okay, couple of different thoughts here. Now again, just in case it's your first time popping in with us, the purpose of our Bible study is just to go through the Bible and find all of the different verses that have food in it, food or drink, something you consume. And the goal is just to find any kind of wisdom from it that might help us have a better relationship with food, because I think we've kind of gotten away from how our food is put together, and I think we've just lost a lot of wisdom that we need to have. And I kind of went to the Bible looking for very specific, eat this, don't eat that, and what I'm finding is a lot of background helpful information that I kind of didn't even think about. And it's really helped me to make better food decisions, and I hope it's been helping you guys. So in this story, Elisha said there was a bunch of people, and they were getting ready to eat, but there was a dearth in the land. There really wasn't that much there. So someone went to go, Elisha said, make us a pot of food. And they went to gather food for it, gather herbs and things. And they saw this wild vine. And I guess they were desperate. They were like, I don't know if this is enough. This looks good. And they just grabbed this wild vine without even knowing what it was on that vine. And he shreds it into the pot. And as soon as people start eating it, they start to feel sick. And he even says there's death in this pot. And so Elijah, of course, does a miracle, and it says he brings some meal, some like cornmeal or flour, some kind of grainy meal, and he puts it in the pot, and in that way he makes it to where it's edible and people aren't going to die eating it. Because apparently it was more important. There really was such a dearth that they wanted to make use of what was there. So Elijah did a miracle. He worked it out so this pot of death was not going to kill everybody, and the Lord gave him wisdom on how to do that. So there's a couple of important topics, I think, that are covered here. First of all, the idea of not eating things that you don't know what they are. Believe it or not, I think we do it all the time. Because and I'm so guilty of this. Like, there are a lot of things that I put in my mouth that I actually have no idea what's in them. Think of all of those processed foods that we eat. I mean, I could go pull out a box right now and look at the ingredients on it, and I have no idea what any of those things are. Yet we consume them all the time. And we might not find ourselves facing death immediately like like these folks did. But perhaps it could be a slower poison. The fact is we don't know. We don't know what we're putting in our body. And I think we need to be more educated about what actually goes into our bodies, what we actually feed to our families. Because not only that, you have to remember that this was somebody who was feeding other people. And I think we as moms in particular are often responsible not just for feeding ourselves, but for feeding other people. And we don't even know what we're putting in their mouths. And it's scary. It's really scary. Yes, Lisa, we're thinking the same thing. She said it's kind of scary reading the list of ingredients. It really is. Especially a lot of the things that kids want to eat, the things that they are interested in. It is frightening when you start looking at the list of ingredients. Mama Jen says, doing keto has opened up my eyes to how much unknown starches and sugars are in most things. Rick and I went to the store. No, it was Brian and I. Brian and I were at the store the other day. It was for his birthday, and he wanted to get some yogurt. So Brian is very particular about eating healthy. He's really focused on that. And so he was trying to find some yogurt that was low carb. And he was like looking through and we were surprised. I was looking with him how many grams of sugar and how many grams of carbs were in yogurt. Because we were thinking yogurt would be more protein and less carbs, but we were very, very wrong. Even the light ones, the ones that were supposed to be less sugar, I mean, we were absolutely shocked at it. And it's only when you pay attention to those things, but how often do we just go through the grocery store and don't even pay attention? You know what I mean? So we have to be mindful. We have to think about the things that we're not only putting in our bodies, but what we're putting in the bodies of other people. Allison says natural flavors could mean anything. And that's a good point too. I mean, sometimes even when you look at the label, it's not even specific enough. Somebody said to me on one of my videos, because of course I share my grocery hauls every Thursday on the Fundamental Home YouTube channel. Somebody pointed out to me one time that I got some chicken, just a package of chicken, and they noticed from the video, and I didn't even notice buying it, that on the ingredients it didn't just say chicken. It said chicken and this and this and this and this. And they said it's funny how many, when you buy a pack of chicken, how many ingredients are in there. How you just think you're getting chicken, but you're actually getting chicken and a bunch of other things. And it's true. I did not even notice it till she pointed it out, and then I went and looked at it, and I was like, you know what? That is crazy. You think you're just getting chicken. Same thing with fruits and vegetables. Like you buy produce and you think you're just getting, like, look, I got apples. But you don't even know what kind of waxes they put on it, what kind of sprays they put on it. I mean, you literally have no idea. And of course, my husband, he works in produce, so he's with it every day, and he knows about things that are gassed and not gassed, and radiated and not radiated. Of course, there's just all kinds of things that go into getting food if you're getting it from a store that you literally have no idea what's coming in with it. So Suzanne said, a wise friend told me buy food with one ingredient, but again, you got to be careful because sometimes you think it's one ingredient and it's not. There's so much more on it. Mama Jen said, don't get me started on the entire snack aisle section. A list of ingredients a mile long you can't pronounce, and most are preservatives. Exactly. So all of that, Lisa said natural junk. So this is just to say, we've really gotten away, I think, as a culture, as a people, from knowing what is in our food. I think this is one of the reasons that we tried last year the idea of getting our meat directly from a farmer, because we'd never done that before, and even the process of it felt kind of intimidating. Frankly, we've done it once, and I'm still a little intimidated by it. But just the idea that knowing where it's coming from and knowing what's in it, so you're not giving your family something that you didn't intend to give to them. Same thing with your fruits and vegetables. You have to know. You have to know where it's coming from. I mean, just because it's one ingredient in the store doesn't mean there's not other things on it. And you never know what your body is going to react to that it might not react to with other folks. And also, too, side note, a lot of things that come from, in fact, I think, I don't know the exact information, but I think Rick said to me that anything that's coming from out of our country has to be radiated. So then you have to deal with that. So they all have these country of origin labels that all the items are supposed to be labeled with in the produce section. And if it's coming from outside of the country, then it's already been radiated as well. So you don't even know what kind of effect that's had on the food. So you have all these other things too. And like now we have to think about like this whole thing with spinach and E. coli and stuff, that it's not just that spinach was grown in a certain place, but how it was transported. If they've been taken care of from the time that were picked from the field to the time that they've gotten to your home. And this is not to say, and this is also part of the story, that it's not to freak anyone out, because again, the Lord takes care of us. They sought the man of God. He took care of it, and the Lord is there, and he's going to care for us, and we need to pray about what we eat and make sure the Lord is taking care of it. But we also have a responsibility to be mindful. We can't just continually just throw things in and not understand what we're getting. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes, I'm looking at the comments here. A whole picture home says very true, further illustrating to know where your food comes from, knowing and trusting the farmer. Yes, and Arbor State said the Lord's been speaking to her about this. Carrie says we got lettuce a few weeks ago from Meyer and I didn't like the taste. I think we're all as a people coming to realize that this is a problem, but we don't really know how to deal with it because we only think that to get food we go to the grocery store. And we have to really start moving over to, less grocery store, more farmer. Know the farmer, know who to trust. Goalie says, we need to know this stuff because the Lord says we perish for lack of knowledge and we need to know as much as possible. Exactly. And Suzanne says, if we thank the Lord, he'll bless it. But I know what you're saying. Yeah, and I'm not, again, I think of Tim Hawkins. I always think of Tim Hawkins. And he says, people act like they can pray over their food and it's like some magical incantation that the Lord is going to take junk and turn it into health. And he can, and he's able to, but at the same time, you're going to reap what you sow, because he makes this joke, Lord, turn this Cheeto into a carrot, let the nutrients change. I can't do it like Tim Hawkins. I'm not that funny. But I mean, I just think we have a responsibility. You know what I'm saying? We have to do our best within our limitations. Exactly. So we do have to be wise. And I think it's not even necessarily affecting us so much as it's affecting the other people that we're feeding. I'm also really mindful of this in terms of my husband, because I think that a lot of times he'll just eat whatever I give him. And so I feel a lot of pressure because of his health to try to make sure that he's eating good things and right things. And you have to have knowledge. You have to know for each individual person what's good for them, what helps them, what's healthy for them, what their nutritional needs are. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot to keep in your mind. It's a lot to be responsible for. But we have to love the people in our homes enough to make sure that we're doing those things. Whole Picture Home says, I think at least being informed, we have a starting point for prayer. We can't afford local organic, but we can start out praying for specific provision. Yes, I think that's a really great point. A lot of folks used to say to me when my budget was tighter and we had limited options, I really always tried to do the best I could with what I had, and I think every mom does that. So we couldn't afford all organic, and most people can't, So that being said, then, we just try to do the best we can, and we just pray that the Lord will bless that. And that's all we can do. He's given us what we have financially. He's given us the bodies that we have. He's given us the circumstances that we have. And because of that, we just have to trust him that we're doing the best that we can, and he's going to take care of the rest. I forget how they say that. Do your best and give God the rest, So that's all that we're responsible for, is what we're able to do. And then the rest of that's the Lord's responsibility, and we have to trust him. So anyway, I think, I feel like I had another point, and I totally can't remember what it was. Arbor State says, I've gone back to basics with my food intake. Fresh veggies, fruit, plant-based protein, no sweeteners, no processed food. The Lord will bless the choices he's called me to. Jan says, exactly, his grace is sufficient. Right. So this is, what I love about this passage is just this reminder about being careful, more than careful, not choosing to use those things that we don't know and we don't understand what they are. I think that all of us, if our kids were going out in the woods and picking berries and putting them in their mouth, we would be like, don't do that, if we didn't know what that berry was. We would freak out about it. But at the same time, we'll go to the store and pick up something that's for sale and let them eat it just because it's in the store, because all of a sudden we think it's safe. And that is the trick. You know what I mean? That's where Satan is coming in and getting all of us, because he's given us the appearance of everything being safe, when in all actuality, we don't really know what we're getting ourselves into. Mama Jen, you're so funny, girl. So anyway, all right, that's really all that we have for today. Just a little reminder: know what you're putting in your mouth. Know what you're putting in your mouth. Some people worded it differently, but know what you're putting in your mouth. And we're gonna go at the next section, the very last part of 2 Kings 4. We'll get to, Lord willing, on Friday. Yep, Suzanne says, I heard someone say, shop the perimeter of the stores, fresh food, avoid the box aisles. But again, just be careful even in that perimeter. Even in the perimeter, there's extra ingredients, there's extra things that have happened to it. You got to be careful. I think it's not just enough to get one ingredient things. You have to know where those one ingredient things came from and what's happened to them from the time they were grown until then. A lot of things don't even have your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're growing them in ways that they are nutritionally deficient. They're trying to grow things now without soil, and that's where plants get their nutrients from. And so if you're eating something that was grown without soil, unless they were, I mean, people say that they can do it in other ways and add nutrients, but I just think the Lord's way is the best. It's my personal opinion. And I think if he gave them soil to get their nutrients and we're trying to do it another way, then we're not going to have it as well as the Lord did. There's that also. You don't know where the seed came from, what kind of product it is. So there's so many details. I mean, we really have to educate ourselves and know exactly what we're putting in our mouths and in our family mouths and bodies. And hopefully that will help us to have better health rather than just, I think, like I said, when I started this Bible study, I think I was thinking, eat this, don't eat that. But it's a bigger problem now. There's so many underlying factors that we have to be aware of, and this is just another example of that circumstance that we have to be aware of when we're choosing our food. So, all right, I know I'm going to go have lunch, but I'm having beans and rice. So, I mean, that's pretty standard. Let's see, and I'm going to have salsa with it too. I know if you're feeding others, you have to, you have to know how to apply prayer. Clean the fresh food. You don't know to touch the apple. I think back to my southern ancestors eating the scraps, pig intestines, and having to season them to make them tasty because that's all they had. And that's why you need the Lord. I mean, that's just all there is to it. So, all right, guys, you all have a wonderful Wednesday. And Lord willing, we'll see you